we're really trying to sift through all the bullshit, especially in an age of the information overload
and
era.
censorship.
Right. Give you the good, give you the bad, give you sift through any of the bullshit. It's like Cliff Notes for professional development. What do we got first? Oh, anything in particular as far as like professional development goes that you guys saw over the week before we get into law of attraction? Books, articles, quotes.
Yeah, first I just want to say what's up. Dan's here, we got Colin here, we got Bobby here, we got Brad here.
Oh, was I supposed to do that?
I know. We just said. I know Matt's here.
I'm here by myself.
Yeah. But no, Bobby wasn't here last week, so I just want to say what's up to him and welcome.
Yo, I'm happy to be here.
Nice to meet you, brother.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, Colin.
Yeah, so we got everybody here.
All right, so we're good.
And it's not just me.
It's not just a Matt show.
Quotes, podcasts, books, articles. The fuck you guys got?
I'll start just with, I know that law of attraction is something we're going to talk about, but I just finished the Carrot Principle. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago whenever I was here and or at our other place, and that one, I mean, that book was awesome. Just huge for me as far as recognition whenever it comes to just finding out different things that people on my team like, and then figure out how I can recognize them on a daily basis. And the thing that I learned the most from that was just making sure that when someone accomplishes something, that you recognize them at that moment, not waiting until the kickoff the next year or another ceremony. Just really making sure that they feel appreciated in that exact moment and don't wait to do that. That was probably one of my biggest takeaways from that. So, and now I'm reading Sleep by Nick Littlehales to try and get better sleep methods. I know we talked, Colin, you had sent over some messages about like morning routine and all that stuff and trying to figure that out. Yeah. It's all about your nightly routine, what you do the night before to set yourself up for success that next day. So I'm only a little bit into that now, but those are the most recent things I have going on in regards to books. I don't have any awesome podcasts or quotes right off the top of my head.
Very cool. What do you... Brad?
So I actually started listening to a new podcast that just came out from some guys in my industry. It's called MMM USA. So they are in the manufacturing space, but they actually talked about something that was pretty interesting for both Dan and Matt here. It was about hiring and firing employees. So how they go through the process of hiring people, and it was super interesting how they do it. Just basically they have a routine, and they say, hey, we're doing a group casting, basically.
Yeah.
No casting couch, but a group doing a group casting, and they say, this is what time you need to be here. They'll have 30 people say, yeah, we'll be there. 15 people show up, and they say if it's at 4 o'clock, the door shuts at 4 o'clock. And to me, that's a big thing, because a lot of times, if I tell somebody I want to be there at 3:30, I make sure I'm there by 3:15.
Yep.
Just so, I'd rather be early than late. Like, I don't want to be that guy that, you're waiting on. And if you're going to show up late to an interview, you're going to show up late to work. So
yeah,
that was my big podcast. I have a quote. I'll save that for later. It talks more about law of attraction, but it's a good one. Matt knows it. So
Cool. So I actually went back to Jordan Belfort. We had read the Way of the Wolf, the book. Wasn't a big fan, but I still like Jordan Belfort. He's the Wolf of Wall Street. He just tells good stories, and his podcast is somewhat entertaining. And he had Jim Quick on, who is basically like I don't know if he's a doctor actually, but his specialty is teaching you how to learn very quickly, efficiently. His whole thing is the faster you learn, the faster you earn. And so he had some pretty cool things.
He also had one of his, like, just a little side piece. His story is he had a really severe brain injury as a kid.
Yeah.
And so had trouble learning and had to teach himself tricks on how to learn faster.
Yeah. So he was kind of promoting his new book, Relentless, which kind of teaches you super fast ways to learn new skills, new things. And what I liked about it is it kind of translated to Tim Ferriss. He has this saying, or he believes that within 1 year you can be top 5% at any skill in the world, as long as you practice and you have passion for it and all these different things. And I think Tim Ferriss has like won a kickboxing competition, and then the year after he was like a ballroom dance champion, like just
That's
like
awesome.
crazy stuff. And so very closely related with that mindset of how do you get really good really fast. And he had some good strategies in that podcast. It's episode 70 of Jordan Belfort's podcast, so I'd check that one out.
By the way, going off of that, after you told me that, I started listening to Jim Quick's podcast. It's called
Oh,
Quick
yeah?
Brain, KWIK Brain, and it's actually really solid. And they're like 20-minute tops, so like really short, really
Sweet
good.
spot.
Yes, yeah, very easy to listen to.
Yeah,
and
so
comprehend.
he's super professional.
Yeah.
Because Jordan Belfort's not. Jordan Belfort's, this crazy fun guy. Now the dude's fucking knows what he's talking about, and he's a smart guy. But he dropped in there like the power of pussy, and Jim Quick like didn't even like react to it. He just kept fucking talking through it. They were talking about like how attraction can make you learn things faster or adapt faster or something. Jordan Belfort's like, yeah, power of pussy, and Jim Quick just like went on like it never even happened. He didn't want to go down that road.
Can't be distracted.
Yeah.
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 So
Fantastic.
good shit.
Colin, you got anything?
Yeah, so I've and I picked up the book Relentless. It's something that I picked up like probably 6 months ago. I just picked it back up, and I've been listening to the author of the book is named Tim Grover, and so I listened to a couple podcasts with Andy Frisella and Ed Milet, and just talked a lot about like what differentiates the people who are average, good, and great. And it's just about it's doing the little things, being okay with being a little fucked up with your goals. Like the most successful people are a little fucked up. I think we would all agree. And then surround yourself with with people who are great at things. So you can keep raising your standards and keep raising the bar. Don't ever stop doing that. And just
So-
some other stuff that I'll mention.
Yeah. So with that book, it's what is it? A cleaner, a closer, and a cooler.
Closer, cooler, cleaner.
Yeah. So what are the three?
So like a cooler would be somebody that's going to show up, right on time. You tell him to make 8 phone calls, he's going to make 8 phone calls. That's it. Even if there's 2 hours left in the day. Yeah, man, you're smirking at me,
What's wrong with that? I'm just
Anyway,
like
yes. So
really into you talking.
So
Or just
and
really
then-
into him.
and
Yeah,
then a
that's true.
closer, and then a closer's, he'll get you that result you need, but anytime he deals with a little bit of adversity, he'll take a step back. And a cleaner is just going to look at that adversity, get the job done, and get what the hell he wants, and like,
keep going, right?
and
Like
keep
no matter
going,
what,
yeah.
even if he wins, it's like wins the next win, and then
Right.
I think they compare him to like a Bill Belichick or these guys. They fucking win over and over and over again, and they interview him in these press conferences, and like their mindset is like, okay, well next season, what's
Yeah.
up? You
Yeah.
know what I
That's
mean?
exactly
And-
Bill
and
Belichick too.
He even says so. He references Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, right? So he says he spoke to them each after a national championship or a Super Bowl, and the first thing that they said was like, let everybody else celebrate. I'm 5 months behind. Like I'm 5 weeks behind on next season. You know what I mean? So it's just having that kind of mentality. Like have some expectation, have the expectations of yourself that you're going to get the job done and thrive. And then
never
live
be
up to
satisfied.
those.
Never
Yeah,
be satisfied.
Never be satisfied. Like don't be happy with just like doing what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like that's what a cooler is. Like he's happy making 8 calls. Just keep going. You know what I mean? Have a goal and don't stop trying to hit it. So
Yeah. And I think there was another cool story. Was it Kobe? Like they interviewed him after was it game 3. They were up 3-0 or
Yeah.
something. And they still had I don't know the
It's
whole
like, job's
fucking
not
story.
done. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't
not done.
smiling.
No, and they were like, "What's it?" And he's like, "The job's not fucking done." Like
Like what's there to be
still got
happy
shit to
about?
do.
Yeah, job's not done.
And
And he trained Kobe and Michael Jordan.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Tim Grover, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
He's
we thought about that book originally when we started this podcast. We were doing a book club, but we realized it's really hard for all of us to read the same fucking chapters every week. So we've kind of moved on from that, but we still read, and that was one of the books that we were considering. Good book, definitely recommend.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess there's not a lot of practical applications, Matt.
Not a lot of application to it. It's more of just like mindset, and it's like cool to understand like what Jordan went through, what Kobe went through, like just how their mentality was and how it's so different.
Yeah.
And it's more of a, damn, I should fucking switch my mindset to that. Like whenever you feel like you're copping out.
And I feel like the 3 things he just said there, the closer, cleaner, whatever, that was mentioned in 7 Habits as well, wasn't it? I feel like they almost maybe different terms with the
Probably
exact
something
same.
a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But it's all about peak performance and how to show up and do your job, and then don't ever stop asking for help,
Yep.
So
Cool.
Absolutely. All good stuff, all good books. We're going to try to put all that in the show notes.
What do you
along with
got?
maybe links to Amazon. What's that?
You got a podcast? Anything?
Yeah, there's this cool podcast called The Internship.
The Internship podcast, dude. I fucking heard of that
I
one.
heard these guys are pretty much G's.
Like, look, if anybody out there that's not an entrepreneur, you're looking for a job, that's a fucking legit podcast. The Internship.
They're
podcast.
like a 5-star rating, right?
Yeah, five out of 5.
I think I gave it 5 stars.
Yeah.
If not, I'm going to.
I was going to say, before getting the law of
I'm a
attraction,
hard critic.
today we're sponsored by, our first ever sponsored, and that's the Internship Podcast.
Podcast sponsored by a podcast section.
Yes.
All kidding aside, guys, Matt and I have a podcast where we talk to younger professionals or younger students who are about to graduate, about to go in the real world, and kind of try to teach them the shit they don't teach in school. So we're just joking around about that, though.
Yeah, we're not really trying to plug it, but go listen. So let's get into it. So today we're talking about the law of attraction. So there's a lot of difference in opinions on this. Essentially, the law of attraction just states, and there's a ton of different definitions for this, but like attracts like. What you think about, you bring about. You know, I've even heard stuff that people think it's corny, but it's what you believe you can achieve. Now, there's a lot of different things that you can listen to on this, but we'll kind of go around the table, and then we can reference some stuff that we might have heard or read or whatever. So what are your guys' thoughts? Good, bad? Is it all a bunch of fucking woo-woo bullshit?
I love it. And I thought it was interesting that you said, Brad, you were like, I use this a lot more than I think, you know, and I think a lot of people do that. They, you know, like, they're not like trying to apply it. They just, you know, they have goals and they live their life and try to.
So why do you love it so much?
I think every big idea or every good idea starts and ends with the thought. You know what I mean? So like, I think the law of attraction for me is like, if I have a particular goal, I take a step back and visualize who I have to become to complete that goal, who I have to become to be that person who hits those goals regularly. And, you know, and then you start breaking it down even further, you know, like what's the first step that I need to take? And I think as you keep thinking that stuff and keep taking steps, everything just kind of comes around full circle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I was on the putting green and I was like, I know this is ridiculous. It just came in my fucking mind though. And I was just like, one day I'm going to be in shape.
I thought that was going a totally different direction.
I thought you were going to be like, I'm going to make 100 straight putts from 3 feet like Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, no. Like, I don't know why it came to me, but I was like visualizing what I would look like if I was looking at myself in shape. Because that's the thing. Like, I keep comparing myself to like Matt in terms of my weight, because he's like, yeah, today I wanted some fucking Taco Bell, and he's like looking at me like I'm a child that's about to like leave the house and go do something wrong. Because I was like, dude, I gotta get some food. I'm gonna go to fucking Taco Bell today.
Matt's got meal prep in his freezer for like the next 2 months, probably just like ready to go.
You need to get one of those naked egg tacos or whatever they have from there. Low carb.
Oh, really? That's what I need. Yeah. So, I mean, I can jump in with kind of my story about law of attraction.
Yeah, do that.
So, like, I had a teacher, I think it was in college, had us watch The Secret. Have you guys heard of The Secret?
So I'll piggyback up what you're going to say.
Okay, yeah. So I fucking started watching this thing called The Secret, and I was like, anybody who believes this is a fucking idiot, basically. Like, this is crazy. Like, oh, dude, think about your yacht, and all of a sudden you'll have a fucking yacht. You know, like, just insane shit, right? And so it was just super corny, super outlandish for me. I kind of shut it off there. Like, come on, like, anybody
was
believes
this
this
fictional?
shit.
I've never
it's like
heard of
it's.
So
I think it's on Netflix.
So no, it's on Netflix,
Okay.
and actually probably about 5 to 10 years ago, like the real estate world like was just blown up by it. Like everybody in the real estate world was reading this book, and it's based. First off, they try to take credit for it when this shit goes back to like at like biblical times. Like if you start to read certain things of it, actually listen to Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. He came out with this, or he made this in 1957, and even admitted like he's not coming up with this, but it's been around forever. But The Secret is, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what we were talking about. Okay.
Oh, The Secret. Yeah.
Dan.
So The Secret's super corny for me personally, because I'm a skeptic at first, and then once something's kind of proven to me, then I buy in and I'm all in. So then I go through, and Brad actually knows this guy. We went to high school together. I went and saw him talk, and he was like talking in universe and all this shit, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
No
here?
wonder
Like,
you wanted him on today.
Today, yeah, he would have been great for today. And so like I was still weirded out or whatever. And then I listened to a couple of influencers, and I can't remember the names, but they kind of started saying it in like regular terms that like I understood and that weren't too far fetched. Where you put this energy out, and then I started researching quantum physics. Because I'm like, what is this? And I really wanted to. Sometimes if I teach myself something, I'm definitely more invested and I buy into it. And so I started researching quantum physics, and then this is where the corny part. I guess if you don't believe in this shit, this is where it does get corny. But I realized that things go in waves, and waves come from energy, and so like the thoughts you create are an energy, right? And then they go out to the world in waves, and then they fucking come back. And so you can have negative thoughts, you can have positive thoughts, and you can see this shit. I mean, you can go out in traffic right now, and you can see where there's a bunch of cars, and then there's no cars, and then fucking pulling up to the drive-thru today to get some fucking Taco Bell.
So you did get the Taco Bell.
Yeah, but I hit the end of a wave, and it was a long ass line. I was fucking pissed. But everything I do now, I kind of associate with just waves of life, right, and the energy and whatnot. But have you guys ever ran into somebody who has one bad thing happen, and then another bad thing happen, and then all of a sudden they just spiral, and then they're gone? You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I think is actually more interesting about the law of attraction is the negativity. Like, they don't talk about that. They don't talk about if you think negative thoughts, negative things are going to happen.
Right,
they just talk about the positives.
It works both ways, for sure.
And that's what blows my mind is like to me, it's way more obvious to notice how well it works with people who are negative, because everything happens bad to them.
Right.
Why is it happening bad to me?
They think they're jinxed, or anyone around. There's a dark cloud following them around, and it's
their
bullshit.
And any situation they go into, they think it's going to get fucked up.
Yeah,
right?
and Tony Robbins, actually, I listened to one of his podcasts. I don't know who he was with. It might have just been by himself. But he said that 1% is entitled to it, is what those type of people think. That 1% of the world is entitled to all these great things, and that's just fucking wrong, It's those 99% of the people who just are negative their whole entire life.
Absolutely. And the two things I was going to say about The Secret that just I don't agree with is, why I didn't like it at first. Like, for most of us, we're very like left brain centered. Like, we're very logical thinkers. We want to see like the proof. We want to see like the process and how it works. There was none of that in this book. It was just it was a lot of fluff, and it was a lot of, like you said, envision your yacht. You're going to walk out of your house tomorrow and it's there. The other thing, you forget the biggest piece of it is the action, right? So they just touch on, think about it, it's going to happen. And they don't actually say that you have to put in any fucking work.
Right, yeah.
I actually watched something with Gary Vee today on the law of attraction, and he just blew that the fuck up. He was like, yeah, you can say you want to own a yacht, but you're not going to fucking own one unless you put the work in to do it. He's like, I'm going to buy the jets, and it's because I'm putting in the work to buy the jets one day.
Right,
That's very Gary Vee.
Gary Vee. He talks about the dirt and the clouds, and I'm not even going to try and do it justice how that works. I'm sure you guys might know what that is too, but it pretty much talks about that same thing. I mean, positive attracts positive, negative attracts negative. And if you don't, the guy who was interviewing him actually said, Gary, a couple of years ago, you were talking about like you never are going to get sick again. You made a decision to never get sick again. And it's like, and Gary's like, well, yeah, I actually put in a lot of work to make sure that I'm healthy, and I'm very religious about my workout routines and what I put into my body, all that different shit. And so he's like, I haven't gotten sick in a few years. I made a decision that I wanted to get healthier, and it's same thing like what you're saying, Dan. Like, you're on that putting green and you're thinking like, all right, I'm seeing this, I'm manifesting this right now. The question is, what action are you putting behind it?
Right, yeah. Well, that's the thing is, right, like, so I see it,
Start
but
tomorrow.
you got to do something. But to Brad's point, saying, hey, the negative people think, hey, just the 1% fucking do this, and they're lucky. Have you ever heard that? Like, they're lucky. No, they've created that luck by putting themselves in situations and having conversations and just having enough at bats to finally find that luck, right? Because
I mean, I literally have that wrote down right here. Not willing to settle, not just luck. I mean, you can settle all you want. We've talked about this about people. I mean, if you want to settle, good for you, but that's not what I'm doing.
Right?
Hell no. And so another thing, if we listen to the same one on Tony Robbins, he talks about like the biggest difference is having absolute certainty.
Yep.
And a lot of people aren't going to have that right away, because a lot of times it's very hard to see yourself into the progress that you want to make, right? So it's a little bit about framing as well. It's taking, Colin, you talked about this. It's deciding what you want, believing that you're going to get it, starting to take steps, and every step is going to make that picture a little bit clearer. And so what happens is, for people that have a little bit of a negative mindset, if they take one step in a direction and that goes wrong, it's automatically, it retracts. It's like, I knew I couldn't do it.
Yep.
Or I thought I couldn't do it. Or it's just like that whole idea, instead of thinking, okay, I took this step and it's not leading me here, but what did I learn about it to where I could take this from here and move in that right direction? So it's shifting the paradigm, the whatever it is, your framework of how your brain's going to interpret things, and it's actually making it think, okay, every step I'm taking is getting me closer to this. For instance, that I had before I ever started a business, Dan knows this because we've known each other for a long time. I was working at Nestle Purina, and I met Dan. He was the first person I met to even consider really starting my own business. Met for coffee, asked how he did it. He told me. I was like, fuck, I could never do that. Like, I want to do it. I started saying I was going to do it, and I was just like, I can't do it. And I definitely went through this roller coaster, which everybody's going to do. But what I did was, to get myself to that certainty, is exactly what I did with Dan. I reached out to like 30 to 40 people that own their own business and asked them to coffee, lunch, phone call, whatever they would do, and just found out what they did. And every single person, besides a couple of douchebags, like, actually said, like, if I can do this, you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. And all of them said different things, besides like 3 things that were similar. And all those 3 things were definitely manageable to me. And it just created a little bit more certainty, Now I've been gone for a year and a half, and in no way, shape, or form have I said that I made it, but my life is substantially better than when it was then. And when I started writing down, like, I am going to, I'm going to own my own company. When we talked about journaling, one of the cool things was getting to look back at like what you were writing about. Well, when I originally made a power list 3 years ago, it was 1 hour of KK, which at that time was Cresco Consulting, and I spelled consulting with a K because I thought it was cool. But
that's the right way to spell it.
That is pretty fucking cool.
Setting the bar high today.
We're all friends.
Cool with the K, right?
But that's what it was. It was 3 years ago.
Andy
and
had
it
to
was
describe it too.
Yeah. And then eventually I realized that's a fucking terrible name, right? And
plans change.
Yeah.
I think it sounds awesome.
And anything with a string of K's nowadays, obviously, if you want to steer clear from a PR perspective.
Nowadays or 20 years ago,
Yeah.
Ever.
But it's that little incremental steps over time that kind of start to create the clearer picture. So that's why I believe in it.
No, and I would 100% agree with that. And I think that the visualization part, I can't even fucking say it, is important because it kind of sets the tone of what are the goals or what do I need to hit, right, over the next year, 5 years, 10 years, or whatever to make that a reality, right? The dream.
And you have to feel it.
Yeah.
Like they say, like, get as descriptive as possible.
Yeah, they say, like, you should, like, if you want a car, you should, like, feel yourself, like, getting in that car. What do the leather seats feel like? What is all that shit, which I don't go that far, but I have, like, do you guys have anything that you've visualized in the future? I mean, if you don't want to talk about it here, I get it.
Matt's probably a girlfriend.
I got a weird one, though.
Yours a girlfriend?
I actually have before.
There you go.
I swear to God, I wrote down like an ideal like partner and what
He
that
would write it down.
What that
He's a
There's
planner.
nothing wrong with that, man. That actually makes sense.
Anything from like
For real.
characteristics to like all the way down to like the sport she played, and it happened.
Because then
Look
if
at
she's
that.
not that, then you don't want to be with her because it's like, well, that's not the person that I want to end up with.
And,
What's that? What did you mention? It's like the rectangular activator system. What is that?
The rectangular?
Reticular activating system.
Yeah.
The RAS.
It's actually an ovular.
We're on a roll today.
I couldn't remember what you guys thought,
It's an octagon.
But yeah, you put those down, and all of a sudden, like, I think that's you just focused on it a little bit more. You know what I mean? And you got as descriptive as you could.
Yep.
I have something right now that I'm like working towards. Like I told everybody in my circle of I'm going to have this in like the next 5 years, and it's not even like a huge thing. Like it should be no problem to obtain, but Elon Musk just gives me a straight boner right now. So I am going to have a Model S in the next 5 years. Like
Love it.
the most high-end one possible. And if you would have told me that 5 years ago that I wanted one, I would have said you're a fucking idiot, because when electric cars came out, I thought they were the stupidest thing in the world. But now I'm just like
You get
all boned
tax
up over
credits for
Tesla.
having that car, don't you?
Probably not in 5 years.
Yeah, I don't know. Mine's a weird one. It's
What
like
is
it's the bathroom that I'm gonna have in my master bathroom. I don't know why this is fucking. I don't know why.
I'm guessing there's heated floors.
But here's the thing: I
Dude,
didn't
you've been
choose
waiting-
this one. This one chose me.
been
Definitely
to
a
bring
fat
this
old
up.
tub.
All
sitting
day,
there.
he's like, I'm talking about my master bath.
Fucking bathroom.
I don't know why this comes to me. No, it's gonna be a badass bathroom, and the shower is gonna be like right in the middle of fucking glass walls. Like you just walk in and out of it.
Toilet's
With
gonna
a
have
fucking
butt
slope
sprayer or
in it.
bidet or
It's
what
fucking
we call it.
Gotta have a
Crazy.
bench seat, right?
Gonna be one of those
I'll
things
let you
where
guys
you
take
get
a
done with
shower
your
in a
shower,
minute.
you don't even have towels. It just there's
You
a
just get
heater
out. It's a
above
Dy-
that
it's a
dries-
Dyson.
dries you.
Like as you walk out, it's a Dyson, one of those like.
Like
That
walking out of a
sounds
car wash.
amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's weird at all, man. I think, hey, if you want those certain things, you will have that at
well,
some
that's
point,
the thing
which
is
will
like
be awesome.
what's so weird to me about that one though, and it keeps popping up, is like I didn't even like think of this crazy like shower situation ever. It's just like I don't know. It just fucking keeps coming up every once
Is this
in a while.
what's in the house you just bought, or no?
No, not
Future
this
house.
house. This is
You
a
know
fucking
what?
rental compared to
Yeah.
where I'm going.
I bet one way that we could figure out how that popped into Dan's mind is to search his Pornhub history.
It's got to be
Oh,
in
yeah.
there somewhere.
Gotta be. Shower scenes only.
Yeah.
Shit.
So anything else that you guys feel like you can talk to that you guys feel like you've gone through that process of like you visualized something, you started putting it into action, and then it came to. And honestly, if you think back 3 years ago, I guarantee you guys are probably in a space where you didn't think you would be.
Yeah, I can speak to some stuff on that. So even just recently and then over these last couple years, I mean, whenever I started with Aflac, my goal was to be a district sales coordinator, was the first stepping stone. And I had 2 promotions to get there. I know my next 2 steps, so I'm in the process of it right now. I want to be a market director with Aflac. I want to oversee a state operation. I'm taking all those steps to get there. I have one of the largest district teams in the state of Missouri, and we have some of the best recruits, and we've trained some of the best people. So that'd be one that I'm working towards, and kind of like one that I want to manifest, right? The other one really is just like getting healthier. I've said that I've wanted to get healthier for like the last 2-3 years, but I haven't done shit about
Me
it.
and Dan are both looking at you like you're not healthy.
What is that? What is,
Not
what does
at
getting
all.
healthier look like?
So for me, so this is where 75 hard kind of comes in. I know we got to talk about Andy Frisella at least a couple times, right, Dan?
Yeah, this
So-
is like Andy Frisella's.
Second podcast.
Yeah, this is like the commentary.
He's already liked this podcast. We're manifesting this like.
That is
Yeah,
true.
he did. He liked our
Whereas-
our first post ever.
Where his
He fucking liked.
his redheaded stepchild podcast.
So basically, I mean, in a relationship for 3.5 years, one of those things where it was, I mean, it had a lot of great moments, had a lot of bad moments, but I never really did anything to try and get better health-wise. Drank a lot, smoked a lot of weed, just like did a bunch of stupid shit, and ate like shit because of that too. So I actually signed up for the 75 hard, like just that thing that you go on there and he sends you the email with all the information about it and listen to the podcast, all that stuff. I did that. I contacted this fitness and nutrition coach, Kelly Bugger, and I got a hold of her. She ran me through what all the different fitness things were, and my now ex said, "You're not going to do any of that stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right." And then I never did any of that stuff. And then we broke up, and I was like, "I have to do this shit now."
But now you have purpose, I think.
I have,
And I think that's a
little bit more.
motivator, right?
I mean, I do, and my purpose, honestly, is not to. It's not to be like, all right, I want to be single. I want to be
You
more
wanna get in
attractive to
shape,
women.
fucking-
But I do want. But I want to feel better.
It's okay.
I got up to 255, and I mean, at 6'2", that's considered morbidly obese according to this thing that she showed me. And since I've started that, well, I started walking every single day. Now I'm on day 17 of 75 hard. It's crazy to think
Let's
that
see the
I'm a little
pictures.
bit over a fifth of the way there. You'll see him at the end for sure. Not good enough yet, but I am down 37 pounds in 37 days. I stopped
Damn.
drinking 37 days ago, and I've eaten better. That gal who I called, Kelly Bugger, to talk about fitness, I actually hired her as my nutrition coach, did a nutritional assessment, found out at that point I was already 15 pounds or 20 pounds down, and I'm now since then down another 17 since I started that program 17 days ago. So now I'm eating cleaner. I'm much more aware of what I do on a day-to-day basis. So I think just manifesting that fact that, hey, I want to be healthy and I need to take the steps to get there, that's exactly what I've done over these last 37 days.
Dude,
and it's a
the
monumental
power of
difference.
pussy.
Clothes that did not fit me
No signs of
a
looking
month
back.
ago. No. Clothes that did not fit me a month ago now are big on me. And these XL polos that I bought because I've joined a country club.
Can I
playing
get
more
those?
golf. Dude, yeah, for sure. I was thinking about going back and seeing if I could just exchange them at golf discount. But they're baggy as shit on me. My pants don't fit. And I'm like, I don't want to buy new shorts. I might need to buy more new shorts in 2 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why when I lost weight, I was like, fuck, dude, I don't want to buy all new clothes, so I just gained it back.
So
Just not
first off,
worth
Bobby, that is badass. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
Second, I want you to talk a little bit more because that brings up a good point that we didn't hit on, which is the purpose and the why, right? So that's going to be your driving factor behind why you want these things, not just I want $1 million. It's an arbitrary number. Like you want to lose weight, you want to get to a certain point in fitness, and there's a why behind it. And I know you've got a little bit of a story with some shit that happened to you, and people typically make big changes out of two reasons: inspiration and desperation, right? Unfortunately, most of the time it's desperation and it's shitty things happening in our life, but I know you've got a little bit behind that, right?
Yeah, so and I'm very transparent and open, so I'll just say everything that happened. So, I mean, I've been really good at partying for the last, 12 years of my life from 18 to 30, right? And I think it's one of those things where I find something that I like and I obsess over it. My family's always had super addictive personalities and we obsess over stuff. Like I found Affleck, I obsess over it. Like I found beer, I obsessed over it. I play golf, I obsess over it. Volleyball, obsess, etc., etc. So just got to a point where, I mean, me and my girlfriend had decided to call it quits, and my first thought was like, all right, I'm going to do this different. Usually if I'm single, I go out, get wasted, and I chase women. I fast forward basically through that breakup phase of trying to actually realize what my emotions are and all that
Take
shit.
inventory.
Yeah, and I've never done that. And then I went out, I met up with Matt on Monday, and I blame Matt James more than I blame Matt Cresco. I don't blame anyone but myself.
So Matt Cresco,
But-
good influence or bad influence?
No, it wasn't his fault. He was playing volleyball. Matt James was the problem that night, but it was honestly me. And it was too much Fireball, too many natty seltzers, and I drove home that night. I don't remember anything as far as driving home, except for looking down at the speedometer, knowing I was going over 100 miles per hour.
Oh boy.
I don't remember getting home. I don't remember if I said anything to my then ex as of a couple days. The next morning, she said, "I can't see you do this to yourself. You got to leave." So I took my shit and I went to Wildwood. I decided that day I was like, all right, I have to stop, and it was a sign from the universe, right? That afternoon, found out that my coworker's son was hit by a drunk driver over the weekend and was pronounced brain dead, and she had to pull the cord on her 21-year-old son. And then on Thursday night, one of my best friends from Affleck, Corey, who had struggled so much with addiction and had been through all this stuff, he was one of my next calls to let him know about how, see my chills, about how I was planning on getting sober, and I wanted to talk to him about that. Found out Thursday night that he died in a drunk driving accident after not being able to go see his son. So with that is, and I've told this story a lot. Every single time that I usually tell it, I start crying. I've told it so many times,
Yeah.
I'm used to it. But those were those signs from the universe saying, Bobby, you need to stop doing what you're doing right now. I've talked to counselors. So counselors, this workout routine, playing a ton of golf, just throwing myself into me has changed completely the way my outlook on life is. And it's probably not it's really not fair to my ex as far as me finding this, but I don't think if she would have kicked me out, if I would have ever found this, I might have just drank later that night. I have no idea. So for me, this has been a huge step for me getting healthier. And I'm super grateful to honestly be alive, because I made a really selfish decision that night. And luckily it didn't result in me getting hurt, someone else getting hurt, or me ending up in jail, because I should have been.
Yeah.
So
Very
that's
cool.
it. That's my story.
Yeah, man.
It's good that
That's a pretty powerful why.
It's good that you
Again,
recognize that too, to stop, after you woke up in the morning and you were like, how the hell did I get home?
Yeah, I
I
had
think a lot
no
of people
clue.
do that and then they just keep doing it.
And before
Yep.
you even told that story, I was going to ask, do you miss the drinking? Well, I guess now we know the answer to that.
No, I don't at all.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and I thought I was going to have to like Wellbeing Brewing. They have a bunch of those craft NA beers that are awesome, and they're great. And I was honestly thinking about buying those, and I actually stopped smoking weed too. I stopped that a week after I stopped drinking. And only because the weed was more of a stimulant, and whenever I would drink, whenever I would smoke, I'd want to drink to try and bring me back to find that level. Not like the drastic version of uppers and downers, but I mean, I really just was like, all right, I have to stop everything. I have that addictive personality. Now that I found 75 hard and throwing myself into these workouts every single day, focusing on my nutrition, I have a routine again, and I feel like I've been able to find myself a little bit more. And those like I was saying, those well-being drinks, those are great, but I haven't even had those. I drink a ton of sparkling water, mineral water, and Well-Being actually has a CBD seltzer that is delicious. Now I got my family hooked on those. They are not at all.
On to our second
but I would be a
sponsor.
great spokesman for this shit. I know one of the main guys who's a distributor, and he actually is sober too. He has a great story. He'd be an awesome person to have on, actually, Tom Halaska. And I've never even met him in person, but he has an amazing story that's all over his Facebook from 2 years ago. He posted a selfie of himself just miserably hungover the next day, and he's like, wife kicked me out, all this stuff. He's like, I'm stopping drinking today, and he hasn't had a drink since. And I'm just hoping that my story, like, hey, I don't care if you drink, right? But if my story can help change someone else and it makes them want to make some positive changes. My boss right now he hasn't started the 75 hard, but he stopped drinking for a little bit because he's like, I feel so much better. I've lost 10 pounds. Kid on my team who is super impressionable, 22-year-old kid. He's actually going through 75 hard right now too. And there's been a couple other people that have reached out to me about it. And I think with the law of attraction, this just comes to shrinking your circle and figuring out, like, all right, who do you want to hang out with? Like Andy Frisella always talks about, like, Sal's my boy, and then who's his other guy?
DJ.
Yeah. He only hangs out with a couple of those people.
Well, they'll probably be here next week.
Yes. So yeah, man, I think it's important to shrink your circle and increase your averages. Hang out with people that are better.
So going off of that, it's when you were like drinking super heavily with the kid that you work with and your boss, it was probably a regular occurrence that you would go out and get beers with them. And if you would have thought, like, hey, while you were drinking, you're like, hey, maybe I should try to get these guys, not try to get these guys, but mention, what if we all, like, cut off the booze or tried 75 hard? You probably thought about, and you tell me, like, when you thought about it then, is a little bit of a different perspective than how you think about it now and what their actual reaction has been?
100%, because I think it was one of those things where I was waiting for other people to take action with me or, like, come on board with me, so I had just to do it myself. Yeah. And then they followed without me even saying anything. I've told my story to them, hey, this is what I'm doing, and then they've made those choices on their own. Which is the most powerful thing that someone can do.
And it goes back to exactly the like attracts like. And there was like this this thing that I read that it was kind of interesting and definitely related. So this guy named Yankelovich.
Can you sound that out?
Yes.
How many syllables?
Lovich.
Country of origin.
Yankelovich. The average person sees about 5,000 advertisements a day, or is like hit with 5,000 ads a day.
I'm hit with $5,000 a day.
5,000.
That'd be a good day.
So 5,000 ads a day. There's no way you can, like, it's almost unfathomable, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't sit there, you don't see, like, there's shit on the wall.
Subconscious.
Advertise your business here. Like, you don't see it, right? But if you went out tomorrow,
they need Affleck. Okay.
and you were like, hey, just the thought, like, how many car advertisements am I going to see today, right? Then all of a sudden Pandora comes on, and then it's all of a sudden it's like GMC or Buick or like whatever. Like, you notice that. You start to notice this shit. That's the thing of like attracts like, law of attraction. Like, there's all this shit is out there. You're just not opening yourself up to it. So the more you put your focus on it, the more you take little incremental steps in that direction, the more it opens up, and the more you're able to see whatever it is that you want, whether it's money, a relationship, anything, the more clearer it becomes.
I
right?
also think it's super important to go down the right avenue as far as like the law of attraction goes, because like Colin suggested this podcast today, but what was the person's name? Hinks or something?
Yeah, Abraham Hinks.
Holy
What we have,
shit.
Colin?
Abraham Hinkson.
Abraham Hicks.
Okay.
So
Oh.
he's like, so again,
Dude, I thought I walked into a cult. I mean, it was like
was it corny as fuck?
it was
it
so
is.
corny. It was
Something Colin would
it's
listen
like
to.
Was it one you
Secret.
sent
It's
on
like
the
The
group
Secret.
chat? I missed it.
Yeah, it was that suggestion. And
Why'd
I
you
mean,
suggest that one?
so he's the biggest. He's like the number one
Maybe I
guy you
missed it.
probably can Google when it comes to the law of attraction. But just like every single thing out there, there's people that believe in different
Yeah,
things. Like it's almost
I
like
get it, but that one was like
it's an extreme.
I ran
Yeah.
into a
It's-
freaking
it-
wall.
it's
Really?
That's what
Oh
the
my
secret
God.
is. The secret is just like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not
I knew
watching
this
that movie
podcast
then.
was coming, so I was trying to
It's on
listen to
Netflix.
somebody, who was explaining the law of attraction, like leading up to this. That's why I came.
Yeah.
And there's still nuggets that you can pull out of that, but based off like if you like this podcast or like our like ideals and kind of what we think about, then I wouldn't go that route.
No.
It's just a little too.
It's down the rabbit hole.
It's definitely the woo woo.
Yeah,
like-
for sure.
Yeah.
You would love it, Dan.
Would I? Only because you recommended it.
All the vibrations. And,
I told you, energy waves, dude. Quantum physics.
mean,
I was
Fucking-
I was listening to some YouTube things on the way here because I was like, I know Gary Vee has a good law of attraction, and I it was a quick 6-minute video. That's a good one. And then I pulled up this other one, and it just had like this spiritual weird music in
yeah.
the background, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I gotta turn this off. These guys are
love that
pissing
shit.
me off.
Well, that's the thing is like,
but that's he
ho-
talked about the vibrations.
hopefully us talking about it the way we see it kind of breaks it down for people who also see it as woo-woo bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I do think it's real, and it is a fucking rabbit hole. If you think about it, like, oh my god, I got in a car accident. What if I was like 5 minutes behind that?
I
You know,
think about
all
that
this
all the
shit
time.
happens.
Is life a simulation?
Yeah, it's just fucking crazy.
Have you ever
that-
seen the Butterfly Effect?
Yes.
Yeah.
That movie is
I
fucked,
love that movie.
but it's amazing.
Is that where he can like go back and like
Changes
one
the
one thing changes, like a coin drops at the wrong time? or
yeah,
something?
that's that Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Dude, that one is a. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just crazy to think about how everything happens because getting in a car accident could be a life-changing event, but what if you were 1 minute difference in that day or whatever? I don't know, just fucking crazy shit. You can.
So, but
Yeah.
I will say, if you want to go down the more woo woo, or I don't know how to describe it because I'm not going to say it's wrong. It's just a
Woo-woo is
different.
perfect.
I
It's just- it's a-
I just like the
it's a
woo
different
woo.
vibe, but I just like hearing people say woo.
It's that woo woo.
Michael,
Yeah, that's the by the way, the woo woo
The whistles
is
of
a
the
car whistle. If anybody wants to check out a funny ass
Well,
video,
you want to woo woo?
yeah, it's car whistles on YouTube.
It's like an alarm clock.
It's hilarious. You guys, you have clearly not seen
Put
it.
that in the
Otherwise, you'd be
credits, too.
laughing.
Oh
I
man,
haven't
it's a
seen
good
it.
Brad,
one.
you
Or
can
maybe I
make
just
them
didn't
at your
think it
shop.
was-
That'd be awesome.
Maybe I didn't
Anyways,
think it was funny, and I did see it.
you didn't think it was funny?
Aw.
I know.
Man,
Michael Lozier, The Law of Attraction, is another good book, and it does go down a little bit more of a spiritual path, but actually it's one Andy Frisella recommends. So
Lozier?
obviously you guys can't go against that.
Vandy
say
Frisella
Michael
says
Lozier?
it's fucking
How do you spell
true.
that?
Losier.
Might as well be the Bible.
Michael Lozier, Law of
Take it back.
Attraction. Love
Yeah. Anybody got anything else? Law of Attraction.
I got a
Self-development.
good quote for kind of about law of, I guess it is
It
about
is.
law of attraction. So it's from Henry Ford, and he says whether you think you can or think you can't, either way you are right. So like that's as dumb as it gets to like explain it, I think. And
Simple,
I thought
it
that-
makes sense.
simple
wait, no.
but profound.
Yeah.
Like it speaks volumes.
Like
And
if we said it, people would think we're dumb. But
Yeah, I love
Henry
that
Ford
quote.
says it, and
But
It
Walt
makes
Disney
sense.
has a good one too.
what
If
is
you
it?
can dream it, you can do it. I think that's
Something
what
along
it is.
those
That
lines.
sounds
I know
You know what I'm talking
picking
about?
up what
Disney
you're
would
putting
say.
down.
Yeah, I think it's fucking.
So one thing we're gonna do is butcher a lot of quotes on this podcast.
We're gonna be like, we think
Look 'em up
that-
yourself.
We think there's this fucking quote by this one guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
please
Just
call us
paraphrasing.
out
Yeah.
so we can call each other out.
That'd
be
on podcasts
awesome.
when
If
people
we
get it
make a
wrong.
mistake, you guys recognize it. Tell us about it so we can rip on that guy.
And I just say one more thing about just the law of attraction. I knew for years that I wanted to go see, and just another plug for my friend Kelly, Kelly Bugger. She actually just came
Are
out
you guys
with
dating yet?
No,
Yeah.
she's married.
Oh boy.
No, she is one of my great friends, but good question. So she, like I said,
Shout out to her husband.
one of those things, fitness and nutrition coach, and she is just forever. Like I see her post up. And actually the reason that I went for a walk that very first day that I decided that I was going to stop drinking was because she put up an Instagram post about walking 10,000 steps. I was looking for those good vibes, like those good vibrations, that good energy, all that stuff. I found that. I went out and I went for like a 6-mile walk or something like that, and I've just felt so much better. And then it took me a couple weeks, but then I realized that quitting alcohol was the hardest thing whenever it came to extreme ownership and completing 75 hard for me. So after I had that, I was like, well, I have no idea how to follow a diet plan as far as like, and then like I can do the no alcohol and no cheat meals, but I need to define what a cheat meal is. I need to define a diet plan.
You have to have principles.
I need to have
what's
something.
Yes and no.
And so basically in talking with her, and like I text her all the time, like I text her like, hey, is this okay for me to have? Like, what do you think as far as this goes? Does this look good? Does this not look good? Etc. Stuff like that. She just came out with a podcast, another podcast plug called Wellness Unfiltered with her friend Emily Zwilling or Zwillig, something like that. And it's
Sorry, Emily.
Oh, sorry, Emily. You know Emily,
So does
right?
she run the CrossFit gym? Good buddy I went to high school with, Jim Swilling. I'm pretty sure that's his wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they just came out with the podcast. They released 8 episodes, and she's like, skip the first couple. It's all just she's like, we didn't know what we were doing.
We get
but
that.
There's still, I mean, there's still
Don't
funny.
skip
There's
this
a lot
one.
of
It's only
like,
our second one.
there's like a lot of great one-liners in there. And now I just listened to one this morning from them talking about food prep, and then there's another one coming up with the owner of Revel Kitchens, Simon Lusky, talking about all of the different things. Reason why it was important for him to open up his business. I haven't listened to that one yet, but dude, a month ago, 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, I would have never thought I'd be listening to a podcast about food prep, and it's just a matter of shrinking your circle. And I like, from just hearing what they said, I was like, oh man, I can get really creative with the ways that I'm making this food and make sure that I follow like, hey, a Sunday, Wednesday plan might be a good idea to make sure you don't like have things get too stale and you're just eating the same shit meal after meal.
Yep.
And it makes it like cool. And just that law of attraction, just me being involved now with Kelly as my nutrition coach, makes me feel like I mean, the sky's the limit as far as my nutrition goes. I want to eat better foods. I want to feel better. I wake up every day and I'm clear and I'm ready to go. And it's just such a difference night and day from where I was.
You're doing the little things too by listening to podcasts like that, on the way to work, to and from, a meeting or whatever.
And I think something that like we don't talk about enough, but me and Dan actually talk about this quite a bit, is your circle. Like, we've talked about it. You re-audit your friends every so many years. You get a different circle based on what you want, and people think that, oh, you're moving on, you're doing something different, but you're just trading up.
Yeah.
That's all. That's how I look at it.
You don't lose your friends. You just gain a couple.
If you surround yourself with good people, you're gonna succeed. You surround yourself with people that don't have that motivation or that drive, you're gonna fall into
and
that
that's
same
okay.
spot.
That's for them.
Yeah,
it's just not for you. So you don't fit in that circle anymore.
Yeah.
And you really do have to be careful with that, because I'm a big believer in that. If you hang around negative people, you will
100%.
Oh my gosh, being around those negative people, it's really easy to just throw negativity back, and so I struggle a lot with anxiety. If I'm around too much negativity, I will just start to like, I don't feel like I'm myself, and I have to just completely leave. I did not recognize that as of like even just like a few months ago. I wouldn't do that. Now being more self-aware of how that actually makes me feel, I just remove myself from that situation. And if they're on my team, they're probably not going to be there that much longer, because I can't fire anyone, but I will not coach that person. That is for sure.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And they're actually in the book, the No Complaint Challenge, which is a fantastic book, by the way, and one I've read probably like 4 or 5 times. They talk about like people that complain all the time. When you complain, that psychologically you're convincing yourself that you're doing something about it. So instead of taking action to change it, if I just say, fuck, I don't have any money, fuck, or I need to make, whatever it is, like whatever you complain about, you're telling yourself or convincing yourself that you're doing something about it.
And in society right now, that happens a lot.
So every time you complain, you're taking away the potential of you taking action to what you could actually do.
And then the next time that comes up, you're just going to complain again. You know what I mean? It's just a snowball effect, too.
Absolutely. So
I hate that shit. Yeah. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
But
it's good that you recognize
it's a shame. I feel like lost souls, and I mean, I'm not trying to put anybody in like a bucket or anything, but
put them in a bucket, a blood bucket.
But it's a shame, because you're like, you can't help them unless they want to help themselves to kind of change their tune. And those are the people that talk shit on you when you're doing something good or when you're trying to do something good, even if you're just starting something new that you're passionate about, they're going to talk shit on it. If you get a fucking white Lamborghini, you should have got a black one. You know, it's just like it's fucking ridiculous, you know, and it's a shame. And you know, I don't
It's
know.
like people
so I just try to
shitting
separate
on like
myself from that.
some of these like pro athletes. Like you even think like the LeBron James Michael Jordan debate. Like that's apparently one of the biggest debates in internet history, which is insane. And then you think about all these people that talk shit on like LeBron, who does all these amazing things for the city of Cleveland and for like just young adults, kids going off to college, all that stuff, and they just hate on him. And there's no reason to do that. He's doing all of these amazing things. He just does his own thing, and it's like fuck what other people say. Like fuck you're gonna do what you can control. You know, that's that Gary V kind of deal right there. But man, I think it's crazy.
I
how
think
many
everybody
people
at the
get hated on.
top kind of has that same thing where they're just trying to do them, and then there's gonna be people that fucking hate them, and there's gonna be people that love them. I mean, not to get political, but look at Trump. I mean, he gets fucking hated on every fucking day, but he's just doing his thing. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting that there are people that throw all that shade out there, you know, and then they put those negative vibes in the world, and then their fucking life spirals out of control and all that shit. So
it's sad, truly sad
for sure.
Anything else, guys?
That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you have questions, holler at us. We have an Instagram page.
We got Instagram.
Yeah, we're set up.
Facebook, website.
We're pretty much
Facebook.
legit.
Yeah,
Oh
we
man,
got
I don't
everything.
even follow us on Facebook.
Oh, look at that. Now you know.
Well, you got to
One
like the
follower.
page.
But seriously, if you guys have any criticism, good, bad, or indifferent, we're always open to it. If you have questions, you obviously can send them in through any platform.
Topic ideas.
Or if you want to say like Dan's the best host on the show, feel free to send that in too.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. People don't know you used to weigh 450 pounds.
I know. I've actually lost a lot of weight.
Did you? No, you didn't. Did you really weigh 450 pounds? I was like, holy shit, man! You don't need to lose
It would have
more.
been
You're
such a
good.
good story,
I'm
though.
actually on the track to get in shape, you know.
Also,
with that, the golf game gets better too. I found that out with
You
me
need to
losing
stop
some
talking
weight
like
here.
that, Dan.
yep. Also, if anybody wants to pay us
Appreciating yourself.
to
It's okay.
name drop,
I'm humble.
holler at us, right? Who all do we name drop?
Well, I
We
think
send
Kelly's pretty much going to give us a nutrition for all of us.
Yeah.
We name dropped Rebel Kitchen, which is
We
Rebel
should get some
Kitchen.
free non-alcoholic beer out of this.
Well-being,
Well-being.
A nutrition program.
wellness unfiltered with Kelly Baker or Kelly Bugger and Emily's Willing.
yep.
Anything else?
I mean, a
The
lot of these
Internship
guys.
podcast.
Jordan Belfort. Maybe the intro song should be that Jordan Belfort
Brad's got
song
a
by Wes
Patagonia
Walker.
hat on, so
Yeah,
if we
look
get
at
some
that.
free
Bel-
gear, that'd be great.
Very bro right now.
All right.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Cool.
See you
Thanks,
guys
guys.
later.
Later.
That was good.
It was.
All right, I took a bunch